Hey everyone, welcome back to DCC Work Bench for part 2 of the Santa Fe locomotive upgrade. In part 1, I set the objectives. I prepped the LEDs. Wait, what? What are you doing? What's this? Let me read this. Canopy, I'm not going to read this to the audience. What do you mean I have to? When did I sign? Huh? Sorry, folks. Before we get started, I'm required to read the following from Canopy's representatives. When did you get representatives? I don't even have representatives. Per Section 3, Paragraph 2 of the Canopy Trainroster Channel Assistance Agreement, Canopy Glue was the biggest factor in the success of Part 1 of this series. Canopy, is this even legit? It's written on a napkin. Anyway, we gotta move on. As I was saying, in Part 1, I set the objectives. I prepped the LEDs and started with wire management in the cab. You also got to see the shell come off, giving a close-up look at the internal layout of the unit. This is just one more step that will help us transform this unit from factory stock to something a little more special. So let's get into it and make some progress. As always, if you're enjoying this series, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next steps. It really does help the channel. Let's get started with part 2. Alright, let's start out with a quick overall inspection of the unit to evaluate the best approach for installing the ground lights. There are actually 2 install options here. We can either install the ground lights on the frame or we can install them on the shell. I've done both countless of times. So let's evaluate each option and see which one works best for this build. First, I'm inspecting the outside locations to determine the best spots for the lights from a lighting perspective. I would also like to point out that there's a very nice factory channel available to use. It's dead center in the cab floor. Also, there's a factory cutout for the existing wires that are already utilized in this route. Note taken. Even with this, I'm also keeping in mind how and where I'll route the wires. Now I'm going to remove the shell again to take a closer look at option 1, the frame install option. Now, when considering the frame option, it seems like we need to create an insert of some type to protect the drive shaft area from the LED wires. Plus, even though the LED wires are thin, they're still too thick for the limited clearance between the shell and the frame. Without some grinding and filing, the shell wouldn't fit properly. This would also create an issue where the couplers would not line up properly, making it impossible to attach the shell. I'm not a fan of this method, as I like to keep originality when possible. Let's take a look at option 2, installing the ground lights on the shell option. There's a nice accessible drilling location with plenty of space to work. We can route the wires through the floor space, dead center where they'll be hidden from view, especially through the windows. We can also utilize the factory center cutout on the inside of the locomotive wall. Again, hidden from plain sight. This will make the wire management much easier, as we can tie in the ground lights common with the stair lights common. This I think is a no-brainer. There's an obvious winner. I'm going to install the ground lights on the shell. What I like most about this option is that the only permanent changes we're making here are 4 small drill holes which can be easily filled and covered, assuming that you don't drill like a woodpecker. Now that I have my install option, yes, Canopy? We're in the middle of a wiring overview. No, we're not going with the frame option. We already talked about this. Because the wires won't clear and the couplers won't line up. Were you even watching? Okay, fine. Yes, you would have found a way, but I like to keep things simple and clean. Can I get back to the overview now? Now that we have our install option locked in, let's get some work done. I'm going to start with drilling a small hole in the sill on the engineer's side. I wish I could tell you what size drill bit I'm using. I just reached in my stash and picked one that looked about right. The key though is to make sure that it's wide enough for both the LED wires to pass through, but not so big that the LED head falls through. I'm just looking for a snug fit. As I drill, I'm taking my time. Rushing could lead to slipping, which could crack something, and the last thing I want to do is fix something to fix something. Okay, with the engineer's side done, I shift over to the conductor sill. This one takes patience. I let the bit do the work. Slow, controlled turns. After a few rotations, and a few more, and maybe just a few more, I gently apply pressure. Eventually the bit finds its way through. I'm going to start the drilling on the floorboard on the engineer's side. Apparently, I'm not directing today, so I didn't choose the angle. I'm not a fan of it. Canopy picked it. Probably hoping I'd slip up so you have a reason to be in the shot. I still don't understand the request of a second take. There's already drill holes. Anyways. Back on the conductor side, I'm applying a bit of upward pressure on the floorboard while I'm drilling. That helps counter the downward force from the drill. I'm definitely keeping a close eye on my index finger, just in case the drill bit decides that it wants to audition for a phlebotomist. That's all there is to it. That completes the drilling. It's time to mount the LEDs, feeding the wires through the sill and then up through the floorboard. Once they're through, I give them a little tug to make sure the LED head is snug and doesn't slip through the hole that I just drilled. On the conductor side, I'll do the same thing. Wires through the sill and floor. With another quick tug just to make sure the drill hole is not too big. Once both LEDs are threaded through, I take a moment to eyeball the fit, just to make sure the LEDs are lined up properly in the sill, and pointing in the direction I want the light to go. They both look lined up and good to go. Canopy insisted on this segment. Canopy glue is strong, flexible, dries clear, and the best part, if I ever need to pull my work apart, I can. I'm not a fan of permanent adhesives on LEDs. They can burn out or blow out down the track, and do. I don't want to chisel things off just to replace a tiny bulb. I would rather start on a honey-do list, pay bills, do laundry. Well, maybe not laundry. I use a toothpick to dab the glue over the LED. And yes, I use the same toothpick over and over. I just hope there aren't any talent agents watching right now. We all remember what happened the last time a tool got representation. Do you know the difference between a Canopy bond and a savings bond? Canopy costs money. Now I'll glue around the wires on both the top and bottom of the sill and floor plate. Don't be cheap. Use plenty of glue. I make sure it gets between the wire twists and through each hole. After the glue is set for about 30 minutes, I run the wires through the factory wall openings into the main shell. Nice and clean. I love this. No drilling required for the wire routing. Now, do you remember in part 1 when we tested all those LEDs? Well, we're going to test them again. After installing and gluing, I always test again, just to make sure I didn't damage one while threading or handling it. Finding out that an LED's dead after everything's sealed up would want to make me sell off my collection. Well, maybe the opposite. I may have to do a little therapy shopping at the hobby store. So we have some good news and some bad news. Do you want the bad news first? No therapy shopping today. Both LEDs are working great. Alright, I'll leave off here for now. The ground light LEDs are mounted, tested, and looking great. Coming up in part 3, there's a lot more to cover. I have a strong feeling we'll be diving into some front stair light action and taking a few more steps in wire routing. A big thanks to everyone who's reached out with support, subscribed, did some sharing, and for enduring interruptions from our glue-based legal department. Those of you enjoying the series and still haven't subscribed, despite suffering through some questionable humor, no fault of your own, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video. It really does help the channel. Don't forget, part 3 is right around the corner with a star guest, the one and only Canopy Glue. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy railroading.